Hey, what's up guys? Kalamazi here, and earlier today, patch 10.0.7 hit live servers, and with that came a handful of changes, bugs, buffs, and things to Warlock. So tonight, we're going to be looking at all that, starting off with number one, the bugs that are currently a thing for Warlock. We'll get into a few sims, talk about the new ring in patch 10.0.7, which is currently not very good, but could be good pretty soon, and then look at what the current state of Night 1 logs is for Warlock in both incarnates. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so number one, starting off here to just lay out this, this will affect the rest of the video, and you guys will understand why when I explain them. So there are two bugs in the class tree. Affliction's currently bugged as well. The AF bug is mainly with Soul Flame. So Affliction, they fixed the Soul Flame bug when you had your staff transmogged. Basically, if you had your staff transmogged to Uthalesh a few weeks ago, you would do double Soul Flame damage. It was a bug spaghetti code from, I guess, back in Legion, when Soul Flame was, part of your weapon in Legion, being Uthalesh. If it wasn't transmogged to Uthalesh, you do half the Soul Flame damage per explosion. Now, they fixed that bug. The staff doesn't work anymore, but unfortunately, Soul Flame at rank 2 out of 2 is only doing rank 1 out of 2 damage, being about 19.6 or 9.6k damage per mob whenever it dies with Soul Flame. So if you're in a Soul Flame base setting, there is that bug. Not as impactful as these other two ones. Now, these bugs in the class tree, this is the main reason as to why Warlock is destroying currently in the raid, pretty strong in Mythic Plus, and all of that. So this one bug has been known for a while. It is with Demonic Inspiration. If you will look, my current haste is sitting at 34.23% passively, which is pretty high for most classes haste-wise. That is because Demonic Inspiration increases the attack speed of your primary pet by 5%. Well, unfortunately, I guess we are considered the primary pet because it is not your pet. It increases you, the Warlock's attack speed, basically your haste by 5% whenever you talent into it. So just to show here, I have 34%. I'll pull points out of it, change talents, watch my haste change from 34 to like 28. Right about now. Yeah, so we have about a 5.5, 6% haste buff coming out of Demonic Inspiration, which is once again active for every spec, whether you're playing Demo, Destro, or AF, as long as you're in this talent node. Now, unfortunately, it gets a little worse, because on top of that, the bigger bug, and I think this is the main reason why they're both big, but Wrathful Minion is also bugged. But unlike Demonic Inspiration, this is not a 5% haste buff. This is a passive 5% aura buff to any spec, AF, Demo, Destro, as long as you have Wrathful Minion talented. Every spell you are doing is 5% more damage. Whether you're Destro, Demo, AF, it is a 5% aura buff to the entire spec. So if you combine that with Demonic Inspiration, you basically have what looks to be, I don't know, like when they're fixed, I think I heard roughly an 8-ish% overall nerf in damage, but we'll look at logs here in a minute. And the big thing is that, honestly, with an 8% nerf, it should bring us down to probably somewhere around where the other classes are. We'll still be good, though. Don't get me wrong. Locke is looking good. But these are the reasons as to why Locke is doing so much damage day one of patch 10.0.7. So with that being said, let's talk briefly about the new ring and then get into some log discussion. So the patch 10.0.7 ring, it is called the Primal Onyx Annulet. I'm sorry. This is the ring you obtain from heading over to the new zone, which is over here, Forbidden Reach, doing the quest line. It takes about 10 minutes. I will say there's some awesome guides on Wowhead that highlight how to obtain it, all the gems you can put in it, all that kind of stuff. Now, Ian Has a Coast has mentioned a handful of times that they want this ring to essentially be one of your best options, if not like one of your two rings for basically every spec until you get into like Mythic Aberrus gearing. Now currently, I guess up until about this morning, the ring was very subpar, and the way it deals damage is not through secondary stats or anything, but the 3 gems you put in it, or the 3 stones, whatever you want to call them. There's a handful of them. I have Flame Lick Stone, dealing damage, has a chance to do fire damage. Same when it comes to Humming Arcane Stone and Freezing Ice Stone. Now these stones are upgradable to 421 through a pattern jewel crafters get from a rare on the new island. The big thing here is that up until this morning, the ring was very, very bad for everybody in the game, barring healers that want to do damage, and I think outlaw rogues. Now, this morning, they buffed the damage of basically all the stones by roughly 25% in an attempt to make the ring better, stronger, I guess, get more towards what Ian was saying, being a pretty good option across the board. Unfortunately, I have the updated sims here, and I will say this is indeed using my own character profile. My AF sim is a little higher, about 100k, but this is using the max eye level on these gems, which is 424, testing every single combination for every single spec. Now, I will say this is Affliction. As far as AF is concerned, I ended up playing the Seal of Filial Duty and a 418 Haste Mastery ring. And in either slot, I mean, the highest upgrade, or like the highest simming combination, which is Freezing Ice Stone, Humming Arcane Stone, and Desirous Bloodstone, is roughly 1.5k DPS behind these two rings currently, Filial Duty and Titanic Insight. Now, there's a handful of different gems you can get, which is all highlighted in this guide here. I'll have links to it down below. It talks about how to get them, how to obtain them, some RNG involved, but it's not too complicated. But TLDR, whether you're playing AF or Demo or Destro, the ring is still behind for Warlock and single target. I assume even worse when it comes to Mythic Plus and things like that. Now, one of the big reasons is due to the fact that there's no secondary stats in this ring. It is just 3 straight up damage-based gems. They very well could just buff the gems more, and chances are high they're going to over the next 24 to 48 hours, maybe sometime this week. So I would encourage you to get the ring. The gems and stones you want to get are listed in these sims, links down below as well. Flame Lick Stone, Freezing Ice Stone, Humming Arcane Stone are basically the top 3 across every spec for the most part. Flame Licked, Freezing, Humming, Freezing, Humming. There's one Bloodstone here, but Flame Lick's right here as well. For the most part, it's just the damage-based gems. But TLDR, for those that are asking, the ring is not very good for Warlock right now. They might buff it. They likely buff it. So I get it now. Try and obtain your gems now, and to keep it in your bags, wait, and keep playing your, well, current rings. Now, what I actually hope they do is add secondary stats to this ring, whether it's Haste, Mastery, Crit, or Burst, because if I replace this ring that I have on here with this ring, watch my secondary stats. I go from 27% Haste to, well, 23.5, and it feels pretty bad. So hopefully that's the route they go, instead of buffing the ring even more, or buffing the gems even more. We'll see, but TLDR, it takes about an hour to get everything done, maybe a bit less, a bit more. I think it's worth doing now, and keeping around for whenever they buff it, because it seems like if they want to be where Ian mentioned, they're going to buff the gems even more. So getting into Night 1, Vault of the Incarnates 10.0.7 logs, and discussing them and all that. This is 10.0.7. I want to say this is filtered by all classes, FYI. As you can see, there's some mages here. This is not a Warlock sort, even though it might look like one the further you go. Aranog, Warlocks. Taros, Warlocks. Primal Council, some Warlocks, some Frost DKs and stuff. Sonarth, Warlocks. Dathia, Warlocks. Kurog, 142k Warlock. Brewkeeper, surprisingly an AF lock up here. I don't know what build he's even playing. He's playing like an ad kind of base build, and Razigath is, holy cow, Warlocks. Now, off the bat, we'll look at these parses here a bit and talk about the builds they're playing. But like I said, Wrathful Minion and Demonic Inspiration are providing a very large boost to Warlock damage. I would assume, looking at how impactful these bugs are, they're probably fixed within the next day or so. I'm not sure what Warcraft logs will do when it comes to parsing and things, because this is not just a Warlock thing. These parses, like on Taros and Kurog and things, are going to be very, very hard for any class to break, barring getting insane RNG and things down the line. So I'd assume there might be some, blacklisting at some point. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But like we were saying, so we have new builds for Demo, some for Destro, some for AF. Immutable Hatred Demo, you have Malevolent Visionary AF. Destro sort of similar, I guess, but still seeing a bit more play in certain spots. So when it comes to Aranog, not a whole lot's really changed here. I'm going to go full screen for this. Not a whole lot's really changed here. There's indeed still Nether Portal play here. Now, I mentioned it in my own, on the website and the spreadsheet. Nether Portal is likely going to be the play here just due to how fast this fight dies, right? We have a 234 kill time here. There's even shorter ones here. We have 141, 134. These bosses are getting destroyed. This is Mythic, right? And in a setting where you can get that, you can get Nether Portal value, big on-demand burst, the boss dies in a minute 23. I mean, Nether Portal is still where you're going to want to be, right? There's Portal here. For the most part, besides that, it's the Cleave build. Dreadlash, Implosion, Grand Warlock's design. Not a whole lot really changed from where it was in 10.0. Now, if you look a bit further down here, I believe there was an Immutable Hatred build somewhere, possibly. But Yeah, here we go. Number 2, which is not terrible for what it's worth. It's behind by about 2k DPS. A couple eye levels higher, but it is indeed still playing Nether Portal. Sorry, not Nether Portal. Implosion, Dreadlash, and you're playing Reign of Tyranny here. Now, if you're looking at a 130, like a 137 kill time, Nether Portal, once again, probably a pretty good option. 137, not a very good option when it comes to, you know, Reign of Tyranny over Grand Warlock's design, because 137 means 2 tyrants with GWD, but 1 with Reign of Tyranny. Now, this fight varies a lot in kill times, like we said, so it's sort of a toss-up, but not a crazy amount changing here in Aeronog, it seems, for the most part. I'd likely still play Nether Portal, but it is cool to see Hatred at the time. Now, as far as Taros is concerned, Taros is an AF-lock, just pad fest, man. There's a lot of AF-locks here, the highest parse being 115k. The next closest non-Warlock parse is an Ellie Shaman here at 105k, followed by a BM Hunter at 105k. Now, like I said, when these nerfs come into Demonic Inspiration and Wrathful Minion, if it is a 6 to 8% nerf, somewhere around there, it probably knocks us down somewhere around this range roughly, which is probably where we should be, give or take. It's a bit excessive if you guys can't see. These builds are indeed playing a mix of, there's a lot of Visionary here, some Haunted Soul play, which is similar to what you see on Razagath when we get there. Haunted Soul is actually simming a little bit higher for me by about 200 DPS compared to Malevolent Visionary. But Malevolent Visionary is going to be the higher PI spec. If you're getting PI, it benefits more. You're playing Soul Rot in the Malevolent Visionary build. No Seize Vitality and no Haunted Soul. However, if you opt for the Haunted Soul build, which is right here roughly, find this, there we go. You're playing the full Vitality row, all this stuff, no Soul Rot, no Visionary, and you're just getting basically, you know, Haunted Soul and Vile Taint dot management. Now, Dread Touch is 8 seconds in this patch, up from 6, feels very good. To a similar extent, not having Soul Rot to pair with Vile Taint, you get Dark Glare. Vile Taint's not really... The Soul Rot Vile Taint pairing windows were a lot of fun. I don't mind them. This Haunted Soul sort of feels a bit bland-ish to me. You basically maintain dots, Rapture once every 8 seconds, cast Vile Taint every half a minute. It syncs with Dark Glare every 2, and there's that. But at the same time, it's still putting up pretty impressive results. Warlock is in general in this fight. Highest parse being 115k for AF. The next highest non-AF parse being Destro at 106k, followed by an Ellie Shaman, a Beastmaster Hunter, and then a wall of Warlocks the further you go down here. So there is that. Moving on from Taros here, we have Primal Council. This is actually a mix of a handful of different things. You've got Frost DKs, Marksman Hunters, Boomkins, AF-locks. I'm going to sort by Warlock here because while AF is doing pretty well, there are some Demo parses coming in with Guillotine, right? So highest Demo parse, or highest AF parse being, I would assume, just Soul Rot and Inevitable Demise stuff, which it looks to be Gluttony. Yep, just full-on Dark Harvest, Soul Rot, Grim Reach stuff. ID, AC, Vile Taint, Seed, Spam. You just big drain the boss down, like Aspen for a while. This build's basically the same as we were playing the past few weeks or months in this fight. Surprisingly, there's a Destro parse here, sitting at about 230k. The highest AF parse being 255, which is just utterly insane. A Demo parse here, which is actually invalidated or just not listed. I'm not sure why. They were playing Guillotine, saw it earlier. Same build for the most part as well. Grand Warlock's design, Guillotine, Fell Sunder. Not playing Vile Fiend again, not playing Reign of Tyranny. For the most part, the builds are the same. AF just is a much stronger option in this fight at this point with the changes to Dark Glare and everything else. It looks to be pretty strong. It might be shaken up a bit later on, depending where buffs and nerfs, bug fixes go, and the longer we have, you know, for more partials to come in. But AF looks to be very, very strong in this fight currently. When it comes to Sinarth, unsurprisingly, AF was good here before. It is still very good. You're playing the Wrath of Consumption build. Basically, you just tag Spiderlings to maintain Wrath, keep UA in the boss, keep Dread Touch up. The same build as we had before. And once again, like I said, I didn't think that the overall best spec on a fight would be changing a whole lot, barring Primal Council possibly for AF and Razagath for AF, which is, you know, spoilers ahead, it's AF. So same build here for Sinarth. You're playing Wrath, Dark Lair, Haunted Soul, Dread Touch. Not a whole lot really changing here. Still good value, all that. There are a few builds playing Crescendo over Wrath of Consumption, but they're not as high as your AF builds here. If you played AF and Sinarth before, same thing for the most part. Not much really changes. Maintain Wrath value. There's one here indeed playing Soul Rot, but, you know, pretty much one and the same Haunted Soul stuff, and let's go from there. Destro parse here, not too bad either, but I mean, you know, yeah, AF's probably just a better option in this fight. Dathia is going to be a wall of Aflocks. Now, this varies a bit. Some play Seed, and some aren't even, they're not playing Seed here, but some do play Seed. Some play, you know, at least used to play PS versus Soul or Vile Taint here. This is basically a wall of just Vile Taint, single target Af parses on Dathia. I wouldn't be surprised to see some parses come up later on playing Seed and Vile Taint, or some Ag Cleave as well. But Dathia looks to be a pretty big Aflock, just stay down, single target blast fight like it's been for a while. Destro parse here as well, playing the Inferno, playing Rain of Fire Cleave build. I don't see any Inferno in here actually, which is interesting. Ah, we do. There we go. So this is like the usual Destro build, big Inferno, pad on the ads, a 630 kill, relatively fast, 513 here for the Aflock and single target. Not a whole lot's really changed here, which is sort of similar to the rest of everything else, right? You've just gained more raw damage due to buffs and also, you know, the bugs, right? Now, Kurog is where things are similar, but also get very interesting. So this is not a Warlock sort, as you can see here. This is just Kurog overall. Destro Lock is dominating Kurog. 3% aura buff came in the Destro, plus you had the Incinerate buff in the class tree, 142k in overall damage, and it is a wall of Destro Locks in the overall class sort here. A Frosty K at 126, and some Aflocks at 123, 122, a Frost Mage at 119, and just more Warlocks. The highest parse currently being 142k, which I assume is broken tomorrow, probably. Very good parse, but day one. Now, interestingly enough, this build's playing Havoc and not Mayhem. Mayhem is more RNG. Can lead to higher high ends if you chain, you know, multiple Havocs, multiple rolling Havoc stacks at 5. But, I mean, Havoc is more control-based, obviously. Havoc, we have, just filtered by this. We have Havoc, we have a lot of Havoc here, actually. The highest Mayhem parse being here at about 133k. Still exceptionally high. More Mayhems down below here. But once again, honestly, tomorrow or whenever more parses come in, you could very well easily see a Madness parse appear also, replacing, or Madness, a Mayhem parse appear replacing Havoc, depending on RNG with rolling Havoc and things like that. But a near perma 2-target Destro fight, Destro's actually doing well, which has not been the case. It's been doing fine, but it's been beaten by Warriors and like Frosty Ks and things. With the Aura buff and the bugs, plus the Incinerate class tree changes, Destro Lock is indeed cranking once again, on Kurog being your best 2-target spec, at least currently it seems like. Now, as far as Brewkeeper is concerned, there is some AF stuff here, which is very, very interesting. We're going to Warlock sort this one. I have seen some pretty high Demo parses as well. This is fluctuating a lot. I've seen Demo and AF, not much Destro stuff. Now, these builds are a bit different. They are both playing, like, as far as AF's concerned, they're all playing, from what I've seen, Soul Rot, Dark Harvest with Haunted Soul for a bit of a hybrid build. Phase 2 boss damage with, like, some Ag Cleave possible, some Vile Taint, Soul Rot sinking. So, and all that stuff. If you filter by just raw talents here, just by Warlock as well, they're all pretty similar here, playing AC. Demo build's a bit different, similar but different as well. You have like Shadow's Bite versus, I guess just different combinations here, however you want to word it. But so one, interestingly enough, playing Immutable Hatred. The other one, not playing anything at all. Now, Hatred's interesting because similar to Aranog, right? Phase 2 of this fight is pure single target. The second part of Hatred works regardless, as long as you're hitting the same target 3 or more times, right? So your Legion Strike might be cleaving multiple targets in phase 1, but if you're hitting that dragon for 3 consecutive attacks, you'll still get an increase there, right? Even in I guess like, even in a AoE setting, you get the second part, which is more, I guess, single target based. But phase 2, when the boss is alive and you're running around just hitting the boss a bunch, Immutable Hatred's not that bad, right? It gives you a good middle ground of reach, but also like just single target value in phase 2, which if you weren't playing Portal in this fight is Demo, which nobody really was. Demo was very, very, very bad at boss damage for the most part in this fight. So Hatred helps there a bit. Interestingly enough, playing Bloodbound Imps over Demonic Calling. Not sure about that. Possibly could be a good play. Not really sure. No Calling, no Vile Fiend here because we're not playing Reign of Tyranny. Playing Grand Warlock's Design. The other parse here is playing Grand Warlock's Design here as well. Playing Calling, no Bloodbound Imps. It's a mix of both, right? You've got the weird like hybrid AF build, single target AoE elements with Soul Flame. You've got Demo doing pretty well here. I'm likely to play Demo when it comes to our reclear tomorrow. Both are pretty fun. Both are pretty exciting. If I have a chance to play Immutable Hatred, though, that's sort of where I want to be. So, now, as far as Razageth is concerned, this is a wall of Warlocks. Once again, this is an overall class sort. Razageth, lot of Warlocks. The highest non-Warlock parse, the Demon Hunter at 104k. Currently the highest parse, 133 to Greg. Playing AF. This is a pretty fast kill for what it's worth. Razziath getting faster and faster nowadays. Now the build they're playing is pretty similar to what we've seen for a long time. Seed, Soul Flame. They opted for the Haunted Soul build over Grim Reach, or sorry, over Malevolent Visionary Soul Rot build. If you look here, it's sort of a mix of both in this fight. You've got rank 1 Haunted Soul, rank 2 behind by about 4k DPS playing Malevolent Visionary, some Haunted Souls, some Visionaries, and a mix of both. Now, the Haunted Soul build is simming a few hundred DPS higher than Visionary for me. They're both very close on this fight. So, as far as Storm Surge shields are concerned, having the Malevolent Visionary plus Soul Rot burst, having Visionary for first shield and third shield, plus Soul Rot for every single one, will give you more burst on the shields, more burst for the overall damage amp that it gives you, but at the same time, shields aren't necessarily as relevant as they used to be. They break pretty fast. There is a damage amp there, but interestingly enough, even when it comes to Demo, for example, there is a Reign of Tyranny Immutable Hatred parse here. Now, I spent about an hour digging through logs looking at, is there any way you can make Reign of Tyranny work in this fight? Getting Tyrant for, all 3 Storm Surge shields. And the answer is no. The Storm Surges are roughly once every a minute 15-ish. There's just no way to do it, right? But interestingly enough, so if you pull up a replay here, and also go to his cast and events, actually we can just do this. We filter by the boss Storm Surge cast, essentially. Enemies, Razziath, cast. We go to Storm Surge. First Storm Surge occurs at roughly 5:03. I'm offline apparently. His first Tyrant, or I guess his first Tyrant cast in phase 2 is 4:55. Now Tyrant, 15 seconds, right? So you basically get pretty much full Storm Surge coverage. Tyrant lasting about, I don't know, for probably the duration of the shield. Shields last about 8 to 10 seconds now. So you get big Reign of Tyranny value in the first Storm Surge shield, right? Second Storm Surge, however, 6:23. Looking at his cast, it is 6:28. So he casted about 5-ish seconds into the shield, meaning you're going to get like probably 5 or 6 seconds of coverage with Tyrant blasting into the shield. It's still some value, but as far as third shield goes, his third Tyrant cast in that phase is 8:01. Third Storm Surge cast is 7:43. So there's no value in that third shield whatsoever, which not the end of the world, because you do indeed just sort of get, it's not as hard to break after the nerf now. And you can indeed, if you sort by this, you can indeed, I guess theoretically, still cast Vile Fiend if you wanted in things. He cast at 7:55, not into the shield, but there's still potential. You have Vile Fiend for every shield if you want. You have Strength for every shield if you want. But the other part is that when it comes to the intermission past phase 2, there's actually no Tyrant cast at all. It's a gap here. This is the intermission when you have all the ads running around, right? When you have the 3 ads up, the ads in the middle, you end up imploding them and AoEing them down. There's no Tyrant cast here because it goes 8:01 basically and 10:05. You can't really squeeze a Tyrant in here and have for final phase, right? So if you're looking at the replay, intermission's roughly right about here. Right about, yeah, here. So you push into this phase at about 8:10 roughly. Tyrant just ended from like third Storm Surge shield. I guess that push, how you want to word it, right? He casted at 8:01. So the next Tyrant would theoretically be available at about 9:30. 9:30 is basically the last Storm Fiend here. So you just hold your phase 3 push, you lust, big Tyrant, Reign of Tyranny, all that, and blast the actual ads down. Now, if you look at his overall Storm Surge damage, or his overall damage, it really isn't that bad. We pulled up Storm Surge damage earlier. It was actually really close to what the Aflock in the raid was doing as well. At about 105k was his parse. But the longer things have gone on, Af has started to dominate 120k, 125k, 133k. PIs started to get mixed in, and Af is just taken off a bit more. So we'll see where this goes. If you are working on Razziath now, and you're in night 1, night 2 of Frog, and you're playing Demo, I'd play Af at this point. If you're like in the last night or two, you've seen phase 3 once or so, you're playing Demo, I'd say still play Demo. But like we mentioned, Af probably going to be a lot better in Razziath. It's a lot better. You've got Haunted Soul as an option. You've got Visionary as an option. Haunted Soul is pretty just set it and forget it. You Rapture once every 8 seconds with Dread Touch and all that. Both are good when it comes to Storm Surge value, honestly, and the shields don't really matter a whole lot anymore. Lock looks pretty good, but once again, a lot of this is being influenced by the 2 bugs, the Haste bug, the Demonic Inspiration, and Wrathful Minion bugs. Once those are fixed, There's a decent chance that Lock comes down a good bit. We're not doing 133k anymore. But even with that being said, AF will still be pretty good overall on Raziath and probably the play for the remainder of the patch. So thanks for watching, guys. That should hopefully wrap it up. Hopefully answer the questions you might have had about day 1 of patch 10.0.7 Warlock stuff. I played AF today in some keys, played demo a little bit. AF feels good. It's fun, it's enjoyable. It cranked in keys, it just felt solid. Demo feels good. I want to play more with Immutable Hatred and more with Reign of Tyranny. I'm pretty sure GWD is likely to play when it comes to Mythic Plus and a lot of settings, but Reign can bring a lot of damage too, depending on your setup and where you're at. It's solid. Lock feels good. Even when they fix the 5% haste bug and the 5% damage bug, chances are pretty high. Lock's looking to be pretty solid for the remainder of this patch, and we'll see where 10.1 goes. So thanks for watching, guys. Once again, any questions, put them down below in the comment section. I'll be sure to get back to you. If I missed anything in the video, also feel free to put it down there as well, and I will check it out. As always, PQR's add-ons, profiles, links to Twitch and Discord down below, where they're all for free for you guys. And like usual, one huge shout out to my patrons for in the video. Guys, thank you for support on Patreon a million times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, there should be a link up here as well as down below. It's worth mentioning again that in about a week and a half or so, the 10.1 PTR Warlock spreadsheet will be going live on Patreon. If you're looking at that, the tier 3 Felgar rank or higher gets early access to that. And yeah, so people are pumped about Warlock. I got a lot of questions today about bugs, what spec is best, all that stuff. Lock looks good. Once again, it's important to keep in mind that there are some bugs that exist, probably changed or fixed in the next 24 to 48 hours. We'll see where parses go, if they get invalidated or not, depending on all that. But even after the bug fixes, chances are pretty high. Warlock's looking pretty good, but we're not going to be incredibly OP. We're going to be more in line with everybody else. So, yeah, we'll see. But thanks for watching, guys. Much love. If you liked the video, hit the like and sub buttons below. It helps out a ton. And I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.